Name's Jack Weller. Been running freight up and down the West Coast long enough to know better. And yet, well, you'll see. Thing about the road is, no matter how many miles you rack up, it still finds ways to mess with your head. You get in that cab, you think you're in control. You got your route, your load sheet, your clock ticking. But there's always one corner waiting where it all turns sideways. This run started out clean. Bakersfield to Stockton, nothing fancy. Mixed freight, mostly pallets of auto parts and boxed up HVAC units. Dispatch had me loaded the night before, reefer off, dry van all the way. Weather was the only thing off. Marine layer pushing inland hard. They call it tool fog this time of year. Thick, wet stuff, settles in low before sunrise. I'd dealt with it before, figured I'd just take it easy and keep the coffee hot. Rolled out just past 4 a.m., northbound on the 5. Light traffic, little chill in the cab, but everything was running smooth. Cruise set, CB on low, Sirius spitting out classic rock. I had it timed to hit the 580 split before the commute crowd started leaking in from the bay. The kind of drive you don't even think about, just miles and white lines. But around Kettleman City, things got real quiet. You know that kind of quiet where you feel like you're the last one left out there? No tail lights, no headlights coming at me, just fog, thick like cotton, swallowing everything past the hood. Wipers on low, defroster running, hands tight on the wheel. Not panic tight, just aware. I've seen this stretch get ugly in weather. Cars pile up fast when someone panics or pushes too hard through it. I notice my GPS acting twitchy. Nothing dramatic, just a little lag when it recalculated after a missed rest stop. Then the location icon froze for a second, like it didn't know where I was. I tapped the screen, muttered a, "Come on, don't start this now," and it snapped back. No big deal, just another digital hiccup. But still, weird. I glanced up and saw one of those overhead electronic signs through the mist. It blinked to life, orange letters glowing faint through the fog. Accident ahead, exit now. That was it. No mile marker, no details, just that message. Now here's the thing. Usually, Caltrans signs give you a little more. Timestamp, location, maybe a warning about slow traffic. This one felt rushed, like it was meant to be seen fast and acted on faster. I didn't even think twice. My rig was still in the right lane, and the exit was coming up quick. Reflex took over. I downshifted, hit the signal, and eased off at the ramp, figuring I'd bypass whatever mess was ahead and merge back in a few miles up. It wasn't until I was halfway down that ramp that something started to itch at me. No brake lights ahead. No sign of flashing reds from CHP cruisers or hazard blinkers. Just more fog. The kind that eats sound and light and makes everything feel like a dream you can't wake up from.
The ramp spilled me onto a narrow two-lane road running parallel to the highway. Empty fields on both sides, probably almond groves or fallow farmland. Hard to tell with how thick the fog was. I slowed to a crawl. 35, then 25. No cars, no people, no signs of an accident. I leaned forward, squinting past the dash, trying to spot any kind of commotion ahead. Nothing. I radioed out of Channel 19, casual-like. "Breaker 19, anyone got eyes on that incident up ahead northbound I-5? Just peeled off at the advisory." Static. No response. Not unusual. But in that moment, it felt like the road had gone hollow. I kept creeping forward. After about a quarter mile, I saw something parked off the shoulder on the right. Looked like an old SUV, maybe a Tahoe or Explorer, kind of beat up. No hazard lights, just sitting there at a slight angle, front end pointed toward the ditch like someone had pulled over in a hurry and forgot how to park. The driver's side door was closed, windows tinted dark. Couldn't see movement inside. That's when my gut twisted. Something was off. I mean, if there was a wreck up ahead, why hadn't I seen any flare, cones, high-vis vests? And why the hell would someone park like that without marking their vehicle in thick fog? I eased the rig to a stop right there in the lane, threw the hazards on, reached for my phone to check Waze, maybe get some clarity. But no bars. Dead zone. Even the dispatch tablet was struggling to refresh the load board. I sat there for a beat, engine idling, eyes locked on that SUV. No movement. I rolled down my window a crack. Damp air hit my face, thick and cold, smelled like wet soil and diesel fumes. I listened. Nothing. Not even birds. Something about that sign didn't sit right. It came too quick. No lead-up alerts on my nav, no chatter from other drivers. And this SUV, it wasn't disabled, just waiting, like a lure. I felt the hair on my arms lift. Instinct told me to get moving, but I didn't know which way. Forward meant passing the SUV. Backward meant reversing up the ramp. Doable, but not clean, especially in fog. And then it hit me. What if the sign was fake? What if someone spoofed it? I'd heard stories, truck stop talk mostly, guys messing with CBs or signage to lure rigs off for cargo grabs. Mostly exaggerations, urban myths. But this didn't feel like a story. This felt like something real. My fingers tightened around the wheel. I kept my eyes on that SUV, waiting for any sign. A door cracking open, a shadow shifting, anything. Nothing came. Just silence. Heavy and waiting. You ever see a warning and realize it might be bait? Let me know in the comments. I'm curious how many of us have run into something like this. I sat there with the engine idling, hazards clicking like a slow heartbeat. The fog had that kind of thickness that plays tricks on your eyes. It muffled everything. Even the low rumble of the diesel sounded like it was coming from underwater.
I kept watching the SUV. It hadn't moved, but that just made it worse. I don't trust things that sit too still. Not on the road, not in life. I leaned forward in my seat and gave the air brakes a quick feather, more out of nerves than need. The hiss was sharp against the quiet, and I half expected the guy in the SUV to flinch, to turn the engine on. Something. Nothing. Just that dark lump of a vehicle in the mist, like it had been dropped there and forgotten. No road crew, no wreck, no flashing lights. Just me, that SUV, and a whole lot of nothing. I eased my foot off the brake and let the rig roll forward slow. 5 miles an hour, maybe 6. The road was narrow, barely room for a rig and a car to pass without kissing mirrors. Shoulders were soft, and I didn't like how the ditches looked on either side. Deep, muddy, the kind that grab tires and don't let go. I gave the SUV a wide berth, as much as I could without dropping a wheel off the asphalt. I passed it slow, craning my neck to see through the fogged-up passenger window. Nothing. No movement. I couldn't even see a shape inside. It was either empty or someone was sitting real still. Once I cleared it, I sped up just a hair, trying to shake off the tension. The road kept going straight, flat. A few hundred yards ahead, I saw a curve to the left, but no signs, no arrows, nothing. I kept looking for something, flashing lights, traffic cones, a worker in a vest, anything to prove the sign was real. But this road wasn't giving me anything, just empty farmland on both sides, fog thick enough to chew. I radioed out again. Northbound 5, this is Weller in the dry box, just south of Lemoore Cutoff, took that detour for the supposed accident. Anybody else run this way? Static. Just white noise and a pop of someone keying up and not saying anything. That gave me a little chill. Could have been coincidence. Could have been someone listening. I checked my mirrors, half expecting to see headlights, but the road behind me was swallowed up in gray. I felt boxed in, no visibility ahead, no way to backtrack without threading a needle in reverse. Something about the whole setup felt wrong, too easy. That exit ramp had no barriers, no cones. The sign pushed me off with no backup, no follow-up. And now I was out here solo with no cell signal and no GPS. A mile down, maybe a little more, the road dipped and the pavement started getting worse. Potholes, cracks, that kind of light shoulder crumble you see on roads the county's forgotten about. I slowed back down.
Up ahead, the curve tightened into what looked like a short overpass, just a little bridge going over an irrigation canal or a dry creek. I came around the bend, and there it was, a chain-link gate stretched across the road. Closed. No signage, no lights, not even a lock, just swung shut like someone didn't want through traffic. And behind it, a dirt path, maybe farm access, not built for 80 feet of truck and trailer.
I stopped, set the brake, and climbed down from the cab. My boots hit the ground with that solid crunch of gravel and wet clay. The fog was even thicker now. Felt like breathing through a wet rag. I walked up to the gate, gave it a tug. It wasn't locked, but it was chained, so it couldn't open more than a foot or two. Somebody had intentionally blocked it off, and not recently. There were weeds growing through the bottom rail and rust on the chain. This wasn't a detour. It was a dead end. Now I had a problem. Backing a rig out of a narrow farm road in low visibility isn't something you want to do without a spotter. The margin for error is razor thin, especially with soft shoulders and a fully loaded trailer. One wrong move, and you're sunk in mud or jackknifed in someone's orchard. I jogged back to the truck, flipped the hazards back on, and tried the CB one more time. Still nothing. Then I saw it. Back down the road, maybe 200 yards, the SUV had moved. It was still in the fog, but I could see the angle was different. It had pulled a little forward, turned slightly, so now it was pointing nose down the middle of the lane, like it was waiting for me to come back. I stood there by my cab, one hand on the door, heart kicking up a gear. I didn't like it. Didn't like the setup, didn't like the road, didn't like the silence. I climbed back in the cab, shut the door soft, didn't start the engine. Just sat. That SUV had no reason to move unless someone was inside, and if they were waiting, I had to ask myself what for. Not help, not at that hour, not without a vest or a radio. I kept my eyes on the mirrors. A minute passed, then two. The SUV didn't move again. That's when it hit me full. I wasn't supposed to be down here. There was no accident. That sign was bait, and I'd taken it. I took a breath, turned the key, engine coughed back to life. I dropped it into low, foot on the brake. I didn't know yet how I was getting out, but I sure as hell wasn't going any farther down that road, not without someone guiding me. And whoever was in that SUV, they weren't there to guide anything. I sat there a minute longer than I should have, engine idling, mirrors half filled with fog, hands gripping the wheel. I didn't like what I was thinking, but I trusted the feeling. Something about that SUV moving just enough to show me it wasn't abandoned, that told me everything I needed. They knew I was stuck. They were waiting. That gate ahead was a dead end. I wasn't supposed to get through. I was supposed to turn around, come back, like a rat in a damn maze. I dropped it into reverse and tapped the brakes. Trailer groaned behind me. I could feel the weight shift. I glanced at the mirrors again, trying to make out the shoulders. No room to swing wide. Roads too narrow and the fog killed all depth perception. Everything outside the cab looked like a bad dream. I eased back slow, foot dancing the brake, watching for that SUV. Still there, still angled, still wrong.
I stopped after about 100 feet, needed a plan. I couldn't just back all the way out, not blind. Maybe there was a turnout, a gravel patch, something I missed coming in. I clicked on the auxiliary floods mounted behind the sleeper, lit up a little more of the trailer. Made it easier to see, but not by much. Fog ate light out here like it was hungry. I picked up the mic. Breaker 19, any ears? Northbound detour, south of 5 Points. Got a bad feeling back here. Static again. Not even the faint hum of another trucker on standby. It was like I'd slipped off the grid. I put it in drive and rolled forward just enough to straighten out the cab. Figured I'd nose into a farm entrance, try a tight 3-point turn, even if it meant chewing up some shoulder. That's when I spotted the tire tracks. Off the right side of the road, just before the gate, there was a break in the brush. 2 lines cut through the weeds, deep ruts where someone had gone off-road recently. Fresh, too.
Dirt still soft, edges clean. Looked like someone had tried what I was thinking. Difference was, I could still see where their tracks ended, in a shallow ditch maybe 20 feet in, stuck and sunken. I killed the engine again, sat there, thinking. Something was off with the CB2. Even in dead zones, you'll usually pick up garbage chatter, Mexican radio bleed through, anything. But this was clean, like someone was jamming the frequency. Or maybe it was just bad luck. Either way, I was blind and mute out here, boxed in a road that was never meant to hold an 18-wheeler. I checked my phone again. Still nothing. No bars, no LTE, just a spinning wheel. Tried sending a ping to dispatch, knowing it wouldn't go through, but hoping maybe it'd cue and fire later. Then I saw movement in the side mirror. The SUV. It was coming. Slow, deliberate. No headlights, just that dark shape growing closer in the fog, closing the distance 1 yard at a time. I turned the key and fired the rig back up, heart thudding against my ribs like it wanted out. Foot to the brake, hand to the shifter, eyes locked on that mirror. They were creeping, not rushing, like they didn't want to scare me, like they were giving me the illusion of choice. That's what made it worse. I could feel them watching me through the windshield, even if I couldn't see their face. They knew I didn't have options. I snapped into reverse again, bumped the throttle. The trailer jolted. Had to get out of there, even if it meant dragging one wheel through a ditch. I eased back, watching the gap behind me narrow with every foot. I could hear gravel crunching, feel the edge of the asphalt under the drive tires. It was going to be tight. Then I saw a second set of headlights. Dim. Off to the left, farther back, tucked low like they were parked in the field just off the road. Fog made it hard to tell, but I counted the beams. 2 low and steady. Spaced wide. Another vehicle. Not a farm truck. Something waiting.
That was when I knew for sure. This wasn't random. It wasn't some local pulling over to check their phone. This was a setup. First the fake sign, then the blocked gate, then no comms, no visibility, now a second vehicle showing up just as I tried to leave. They weren't here to rob me quick. They were building a box. And I was the cargo. I had to move. Now. I floored it in reverse, trailer creaking behind me, wheels catching every bump and rut. Cab shuddered as I clipped a branch, then another. Bushes scraped metal. I didn't care. I swung the wheel hard left, trying to angle the nose out so I could make a U-turn without dropping the trailer's rear axle in the ditch. My mirrors were useless. I was going by feel, instincts, and fear. The SUV stopped mid-road. Just sat there again, engine running. I could hear it faintly now, a low purr under the wind. Then the door opened. One guy stepped out, dark hoodie, hands loose at his sides. No badge, no clipboard, no vest, just that posture. Casual, like he was used to being in charge of situations. He didn't shout, didn't wave, just looked up at my cab and waited. I had 2 feet of road to spare, maybe less. I cranked the wheel, dropped it into drive, and punched it. Tires spun, caught, and launched me forward. I clipped something, maybe a fence post, maybe a bush. Didn't care. Cab rattled, trailer swung wide, probably crushed whatever was growing in that ditch. But I got the nose pointed south again, back toward the on-ramp, back toward I-5, back toward somewhere real. I didn't stop to look behind me. I just drove. Didn't matter if I cracked a rim or tore up a tire. Didn't matter if the reefer took a hit from a tree limb. I needed distance, asphalt, people, light. After about a quarter mile, I slowed enough to check the mirror. SUV was gone. No lights behind me, just fog swallowing the road like it always had. No sign of the second car either. No headlights, no shapes, just that heavy quiet, pressing in again, like nothing ever happened. But I knew better now. This wasn't fog. This was cover. This was how they worked. And I wasn't the first. I made it maybe another mile down that stretch before I had to slow again.
The fog had thickened somehow. Heavier now, like it dropped another layer just to spite me. The road was still narrow, barely marked, and twisted enough that I had to stay tight in the lane or risk dropping a wheel in the ditch. I hadn't seen a single soul since I forced that turn, but I could feel them out there, behind me or ahead. I didn't know. Just a weight, pressing at the back of my neck. I came around to Charlot Bend, and there it was again. Same damn SUV. Like it had cut across a field or taken some back farm lane and beat me there. Sitting off to the side this time, passenger window facing the road, idling. I didn't slam the brakes, but I let the rig coast to a slow roll. My hands were sweating through the wheel, which was a new one for me. The SUV stepped out before I even came to a full stop.
Not fast, not aggressive. Like he'd done this before. Hoodie again, gray this time. Tall, clean stance, no visible weapon, just confidence, and that's worse in some cases. He started walking toward my door, slow and casual, like he was a friend coming to ask directions. I cracked the window about an inch, just enough to hear him but not let him reach in. He stopped a few feet back from the cab, hands out where I could see him. No smile, no scowl, just flat, like this was business. "Mornin', driver," he said, voice steady and low. "Just letting folks know there's a jackknife tanker up ahead, diesel spill. Whole road's shut." "Yeah?" I kept my hand on the gear stick. "Funny, I didn't see any barricades, no cones, no warning signs." He shrugged. "Happened quick. CHP's on the way, I was told. You want to hang tight, maybe turn around when you can. Road's closed." I didn't like the way he said "you'll wanna," like it was an order dressed up like a favor. "You DOT? Caltrans? County? You got ID?" He smiled, but only with his mouth. "Just helping out. Saw you turn off and figured I'd save you the trouble." I didn't say anything. Just stared at him through the gap in the window. That kind of silence makes most people uncomfortable, but not this guy. He stood there like time didn't matter, like he had nowhere else to be. That's when I noticed the walkie clipped to his chest. Not a phone, not a headset. A real radio, like what security or crew guys use when they're working in teams. I nodded toward it. "You with someone?" Another pause, just long enough to hang there. "Got folks keeping an eye on things," he said finally. That settled it. I didn't know if this was cargo theft, hijacking, or something in between, but it was definitely organized. Too smooth, too quiet, too clean. Guy wasn't panicked, wasn't local. He was in his place, playing a part, and I wasn't about to be in mine. "I already called dispatch," I lied. "They're pinging my location now. Probably send CHP." His eyes didn't move. Not a blink. Just that little shift in his jaw. I touched a nerve. "Didn't think you'd get signal out here," he said. "Didn't need much," I shot back. For the first time, he stepped closer. Just half a step, but it was enough to feel like he was challenging me. I reached up slow and laid my hand on the air horn cord, not pulling it, just letting him see the motion. His eyes tracked it. Then he exhaled through his nose and backed off a step. "Well," he said, "hope you got a plan, driver. Lot of empty road out here. No rush either way." Then he turned, walked back to his SUV, and got in. Didn't speed off, just sat there, engine running, like he was waiting to see what I'd do next. I sat in the cab for another minute, not moving, just watching him in the mirror. My heart was going hard now. Not panic. Just that tight hum in the blood when you know the line's been drawn and you're not sure which way the first move's gonna go.
I picked up the mic again, clicked it twice on channel 9, then tried 19. "This is Unit 7-1, Weller. Northbound off 5 near Westside Detour, got a civilian giving fake info. Possible setup. Requesting eyes. Anyone copy?" Still nothing. Either no one was close or I was in a dead pocket. I looked around the cab, thinking. My options were slim. Road ahead might be blocked, or might be another trap. Turning around meant doubling back into the unknown, and I'd already seen how fast they could reposition. The ditch off the road was a no-go. Too soft, I'd sink for sure. Then it came to me. I remembered passing a pump station or some kind of ag access gate about half a mile back. There'd been a dirt turnoff, narrow, but maybe just wide enough to spin the rig around if I took it slow. If I could get there and back on the state route, I could put some miles between me and these guys before they decided to stop playing polite. I dropped the cab into gear and started rolling again, real easy. Didn't look at the SUV, didn't give him the satisfaction, just pulled forward like I was thinking it over. Got up to maybe 15, then 20, engine quiet, tires humming. At the next straight patch, I saw a break in the brush. The old ag road, unmarked, cracked pavement under gravel. I swung wide, nosed in slow, praying the shoulder would hold. It did. Barely. I didn't stop to second guess, cranked the wheel full, trailer creaking behind me like I knew what was coming. It took 2 tries and some serious tugging, but I got the nose pointed back toward where I came from. Couldn't gun it too hard or at fishtail, just steady power, climbing back out the way I came. Behind me, in the side mirror, I saw the SUV again. This time, headlights on. And then it started to move. I didn't wait to see if he'd follow. I just kept the nose straight and let the weight of the trailer pull me forward, tires hissing on the damp asphalt. No traffic, no lights, no life out there except for whatever was tucked inside that SUV. I couldn't hear him yet, but I knew damn well he'd be behind me soon. Maybe alone, maybe not. Maybe just trying to spook me. Maybe trying to stop me. At that point, I didn't care. I wasn't going to wait and ask. I passed that same tree I'd clipped earlier, branches hanging low like they'd been dragged. Trailer paint scraped along the bark, left a clean white streak. Proof I'd been there. Proof someone might notice. Later. Maybe. The road straightened a little, not much, just enough for me to see ahead more than 50 yards. I knew I had to find a better path out than what I came in on. I'd made the turn last time by gut. Now I needed options. I spotted a faint glow through the fog. Wasn't streetlights. Looked more like flood lamps, low and yellow like something at a ranch gate or an ag depot. I leaned forward and squinted. There was a fence line up ahead, and past it a pullout wide enough for a grain hauler, probably a staging lot for irrigation truck.
Gravel base, maybe packed dirt. Look firm enough. Slowed a bit, he's toward it. Turned the wheel hard right and pulled in. My tires crunched over the gravel and held. No slide, no sink. That gave me a second to think. I needed a turnoff that actually got me back to pavement, something leading to a numbered road, even a county one. I checked the GPS again. Still frozen. Dead screen. Cell, still no bars. Felt like I was stuck in a damn Faraday cage made of fog and silence. And that's when I caught something in the mirror. Another pair of headlights. Not the SUV this time. Lower set, closer together. Maybe a sedan, maybe a compact SUV. But it wasn't parked. It was moving. Slow. Deliberate. Rolling up the same road I'd just come down. Like they knew the path already. Like they'd done this more than once. Now I had 2 behind me. My pulse kicked again, not out of fear, just urgency. The math was shifting, and not in my favor. I grabbed my gloves, popped the door, and stepped down. The ground was firm underfoot, and I jogged to the edge of the fence line. Nothing but field on the other side. Tall, dry grass, patchy dirt, and somewhere beyond it, the faint hum of the I-5. I couldn't see the freeway, but I knew it was close. Heard the dull drone of cars and trucks moving like ghosts through the fog. I followed the fence with my eyes. Maybe a quarter mile down, it bent inward and ended near a gap, probably where tractors cut through. Looked tight, but maybe wide enough for a bobtail. Not for a full rig, not without tearing something up. I jogged back to the cab and climbed in. Both sets of lights were closer now. The SUV had caught up and the second car pulled in behind it. They were maybe 50 yards back, blocking the only clear exit. I stared at them for a second, breathing through my teeth. Then I threw the truck into reverse. Hard left cut on the wheel, trailer pivoting wide. Gravel flew. I straightened out, pointed the nose toward the far side of the lot, toward the field. I didn't know if the rig would make it through, but I knew stand put wasn't an option. I eased forward, bounced through the far opening, tires thudding over uneven ground. Tall weeds brushed the bumper, dragged across the tank skirts. I shifted down and fed it slow power, trying to keep traction without digging in. The fog swallowed me again, thicker out in the field, and I felt the road disappear under me. Just soft dirt and weeds now. Behind me, the lights didn't move at first. Then the SUV peeled off the road and came after me. Slow again, like they weren't worried I'd get away, like they knew where I was headed. I scanned left and right, trying to orient. Then I saw it. Just a break in the brush and a narrow dirt path running parallel to the freeway. Probably an old service trail or something for utility crews. Not legal, but I wasn't in the mood for legal. I yanked the wheel and nosed into it, rig swaying hard as one side dipped lower than the other. The trailer slammed once, maybe against a stump. Didn't stop, couldn't stop. The path ran tight, brush scratching at the mirrors, branches slapping the roof. I couldn't go fast, maybe 15 tops, but it was something. Just needed to keep moving, keep that space. Then I saw it. Through the mist ahead, a wire fence sagging low and a shallow ditch right before it. Beyond that, the paved shoulder of an on-ramp. I found a back door onto the interstate. The fence wasn't high, maybe 3 feet. Rusted chain link, old and half collapsed in places. I dropped gears, lined up straight, and didn't even hesitate. I hit it square, metal screeching as the bumper and frame pushed through. The cab bounced, wheels caught air for a split second, then landed hard on the other side. Rear tires dragged in the ditch, but the weight carried it forward. Trailer bottomed once, then popped free. I was back on pavement. Kind of. I pulled onto the shoulder and stopped. Sat there, breathing heavy, cab vibrating under me. Looked in the mirror again. No headlights. No SUV. No second car. Just fog behind me, like it had swallowed 'em whole. I put it in gear and rolled forward. Eased up the on-ramp slow, blinker still on, heart still racing. I didn't know what that was. Still don't. But I know this much. Whatever it was, they weren't in a hurry. They were patient, planned, organized, and they let me go. Or thought they'd try again later. And that's what stuck with me worse than the rest. The ramp dumped me back onto I-5 like nothing ever happened. 4 wide lanes, painted lines, the hum of the world still moving. If it wasn't for the blown mirror and the low pull on the right side, probably a tire half off the bead, I might have thought I imagined the whole damn thing. But I didn't. That fence didn't tear itself down. That SUV didn't move by magic. And I sure as hell didn't just take a scenic detour through a fogged-up dirt road for fun. I kept it slow in the right lane, flashers on, hazards still clicking like a metronome. Pulled over once on the shoulder to check damage. Right steer looked soft, not flat yet, but squishy. Probably bead rolled or rim bent a little. The skirt on the passenger side was hanging crooked where I must have hit a rock or stump. Scratched to hell, but no fuel leak, no airlines hanging. Trailer was dirty, but rolling. I climbed back in, eased back into traffic. My hands were shaking a little now, not from fear, just from the come down. The adrenaline always hits hard, then dumps you even harder. That moment when you realize it's over, for now, and you're still breathing. But your brain's still back there in the fog, waiting for something to jump out again. I called dispatch on the SAT unit. The screen took a minute to wake up, signal still spotty, but better than nothing. Punched in the basic message, delayed, possible security issue, on highway, rejoining route, details later. That was all I could manage at the moment. I wasn't ready to explain.
Not until I wrapped my head around it. Didn't take long before the first car passed me. Just a silver Accord, some kid in a hoodie, sipping coffee and flying past at 80, like nothing had happened, like the world hadn't bent sideways a few miles back. That's what messes with you, the way normal comes back so quick, like the weird never existed. About 10 miles north, I saw an exit with a pilot. I took it, pulled into the truck lot, which was half full already, reefers idling, drivers stumbling out for coffee and showers. Parked tight between a cattle hauler and a curtain side from Texas. Killed the engine, sat there a while, just listening to the clinking and ticking of a hot engine cooling down. I got out, stretched, boots crunching on gravel,
Walked slow around the truck. Rear axle tires looked okay. Right steer was low but holding. No gash, just to beat it a little on the outside. Could limp it a few miles to a tire bay if I had to. Paint on the trailer was scraped up like I'd taken it through a junkyard, but she was straight. No damage to the frame. Doors still sealed. I lit a cigarette, even though I'd mostly quit. Just needed something solid in my hand. Smoked half of it leaning on the bumper. Cattle guy came out of his cab, nodded. I nodded back. Didn't say a word. Went inside, got a black coffee, no cream, grabbed a bottle of water and a Snittens for later. Stood in the corner near the window, watched the lot. I kept looking for that SUV. Not that I thought they'd be dumb enough to follow me into a place with lights and cameras, but still, I looked. There was a guy sitting in one of the booths by the window, late 40s maybe, clean jeans, blue flannel, work boots. He was watching me in the mirror behind the drink cooler. Not staring, just watching. I didn't recognize him. Didn't like the feeling. I walked back outside, climbed into the cab, locked the doors, engine still off. Thought about pulling out right then and there, but I didn't. I sat. Thought it through. Thing is, there were no real threats. No guns, no shouting, no broken windows or weapons. Nothing I could report without sounding paranoid. But it wasn't nothing. It was a setup. A practiced one. I've been around long enough to know when something's off. And what I saw, that was off. I opened my notebook, the one I keep for drops and hours and waits, jotted down the time I hit the fake sign, the ramp, the road, drew a rough sketch of the path I took, where the SUV reappeared, where the second vehicle came in. Wrote down every detail I could remember. Hoodie color, the walkie, no plates I could see, the way he stood, how he talked. Didn't know who I'd give that to yet, but it felt better having it written, like proof that I hadn't made it all up. After 20 minutes, I started her back up, let the air build, punched in a revised route, taking 152 east to Los Banos, avoiding that whole stretch near 5 Points altogether. GPS finally started behaving.
Bars came back on the phone, like fog ghosts don't follow signal. I eased out of the lot, rolled through the light, merged back onto I-5 like any other run. Just another truck, just another driver, just another stretch of California asphalt. But I kept checking my mirrors, a lot more than usual. I stayed on the 5 for another hour before I got the urge to pull off again. Not because I was tired, I just needed to breathe somewhere without white lines and side mirrors. Took an exit near Patterson, one of those half-forgotten places with a busted-up Chevron and a taco truck parked under a dead street lamp. I parked out back near the dumpster, engine off. Just sat with the window down, listening to nothing for a few minutes. Then I called CHP. Figured it was time. Told the guy on the other end what I'd seen, fake signage on an overhead, fog thick as soup, a detour that led to a locked 8 and some guys acting way too professional to be random locals. I kept it clean, no drama, no emotion, just facts. He listened, didn't interrupt. When I was done, he asked for time, mile marker, landmarks. I gave him what I could. Then he said, "We didn't issue any fog detour in that area this morning. No tanker crash either. You say the sign was active?" "Lit up like any Caltrans sign I've ever seen," I said. "Did you see anyone working on it?" "Nope." "Did you take a photo?" "No signal. GPS was frozen too." Long pause. Then he said, "We'll check with Caltrans maintenance, but it's possible someone spoofed a message board. Rare, but not impossible." That word rare, it stuck with me. Not never, not impossible, just rare, which means it's happened before. He thanked me for the report, asked if I wanted to file anything official. I told him no, not unless someone else came forward. I'm not looking to be a story. I'm just trying to do my job and not end up on some missing person poster between fuel pumps. After I hung up, I went back outside, grabbed a burrito from the taco truck, and leaned on the hood while I ate. Night was falling. Fog was still hanging out in the low spots, but it wasn't crawling like it had been earlier. Felt more natural now. Felt like weather again, not a setup. I made the rest of the run without incident. Dropped in Stockton, unloaded clean. Yard guy didn't even comment on the damage. Said something about tight farms and careless forklifts, and I let him believe whatever he wanted. I didn't say a word. Got a motel that night, not a sleeper. I needed a door that locked and four walls that didn't rattle. Took a hot shower, sat on the bed with the TV on low. News was boring. Weather said fog again tomorrow, patchy along 99 and the 5. I stared at the screen without really watching. Brain still running loops of that guy's face, calm as Sunday morning, telling me to wait. That voice, steady. That radio on his chest. Whoever they were, this wasn't their first try, and probably wouldn't be the last. Next day I headed back south, empty trailer, light load.
Took a longer way around, cut east to 99, kept distance from that exit, that field, that ramp. Took me 40 minutes longer, but I didn't care. I'd pay that price every time if it meant not running blind through someone's trap again. Now, I don't run that corridor at night anymore, not unless I know the weather's clear and I've got company on the channel. I stopped trusting those message boards too. If one lights up and I don't see brake lights ahead, I call dispatch first. I wait. I verify. I don't follow instructions just because they're glowing in Caltrans orange. Guys at truck stops still tell stories. Cargo theft, vanishing trailers, fake cops with fake scanners pulling you off the road in the middle of nowhere. I used to half listen, nod along, roll my eyes, but now I watch closer, listen harder. Some of those stories are true. Some of them have details you only know if you've been close. You learn fast that out here, in the middle of the dark, nobody's watching but you. No cameras, no help, just the road, your mirrors, and what's waiting where the lights don't reach. And I'll tell you this much, next time I see a sign telling me to exit for an accident ahead, I'm not turning unless I see the wreck with my own two eyes. Because some accidents are built, not found.